Alrighty, so managing modern JS repos, Monorepos. Please again, follow along on Twitter, at Jess Telford. I really do like those points. I post useful stuff sometimes. So what I want to do is give you a walkthrough of what are monorepos, why are they slightly better than the alternative, which has a few different names, we'll cover that, and some tooling to help with using monorepos. And unfortunately I don't have time for a demo today, but I will walk you through what I would have done in a demo. I'll say it with words instead of code. We'll see how that goes. So first up is single, actually before we go on, who here is familiar with monorepos? Show of hands? Okay, about 2/3, that's good, that's good. Who uses them day to day? Monorepos day to day? Like 3 people, okay, cool. So single package repos, aka many repos, is how I'm gonna refer to them. Many repos versus mono repo. Single package repos are what you would expect from something you land on GitHub. You're on a module such as the request module, and it has a src directory, package.json. You can browse the source code. If you're the maintainer of that, there's probably a build script and a publish script and those kinds of things. Everything for that package is in that repository and nothing else. There's no other things in there, maybe some documentation, but that's about it. So that's what I mean when I'm referring to single package repos or many repos, because you have many repositories for many packages. This is the standard or the classic way of doing things. There's a bunch of tooling out there for this. Yarn/npm is designed primarily to work with many repos. For example, the repository field and the issues fields in the package.json is designed to point to a single URL, which is meant to be one repository. NP is a great tool for publishing your repository, your packages. So you can do npm publish, but that doesn't do other things like handling version bumps and change logs and all sorts of fun things. NP does that for you. I recommend checking it out. It's a really powerful tool.
Who maintains NP?
Say again, sorry?
Who maintains NP?
NP is maintained by Syndrasaurus, who has, I think he is the second most prolific package author on NPM. Thousands of packages. Very brilliant man. Check it out, just search npm, np, acronyms hard. Most other things on npm, all the other toolings that's designed to work with packages, publishing, change log, all that kind of stuff, most of them, 99%, are designed to work in this many repo or single package repo world. The general flow for dealing with this, I'm sure you're familiar, is you code up a bit, you do a commit, get a PR approved, get it merged, and then you publish. There's nothing outside of the realm of everything that's in this repo is the thing that I'm going to publish up. It's kind of the straightforward way of doing it. But this isn't perfect. When you have a project or a website that has lots of different packages that make up that website, for example, if you have a component library, or if you have, say, there's a few popular CLI tools that are made up from a series of different packages, then it gets tricky to maintain all those packages independently. Publishing becomes a very large effort. You have to publish one thing, say package A, and then package B, which depends on package A, needs to be published separately second. You'd update the changelog separately, do a new release, all of those kinds of things. It's annoying, to say the least. I've been through this when I was at Domain, actually. We had a component library. We had a many repo setup. We had, when I left, I believe it was about 350 components. Of those, there was about maybe 40 or 50 that were very common low-level components. If a version of one of those changed, we then had to go and manually update about maybe 50, 60 other components so they could have the new version. Really, really painful. And yeah, so version syncing is tricky. This can be helped a bit with Semver ranges, but then that gets negated with yarn lock files or package lock JSONs, where it locks it to a very specific version, even though you specified a Semver range in your package JSON. So there's pain points here. Monorepos are the solution. Let's have a quick that's some pros and cons between many and mono repos. Many repos have a single Git history. This is usually one of the biggest people who are advocates for many repos. This is their biggest point, is that the Git history is clean. Every commit is related to that package. There's nothing else messing up the history. I was of this mind for quite a while, but when we get to the end, we'll see why that's no longer the case. No merging conflict. So if you are working in one repo for one package, you publish that package, and then go to another repo and work in that, and publish that package. There's no way that those two repos can conflict and step on each other's toes. It's very easy to onboard or contribute. Who here has landed on a GitHub repo that is a mono repo, and you've been like, where is the source code for this thing? Yeah, okay, a couple of you, I was expecting more. If you are the maintainer of a package, you want contributors, especially if you're open source library. We all know that we don't get paid for this. So we try to make onboarding as easy as possible, and many repos is the easiest way to onboard. You have an SRC directory, package.json, and contributing.md. That's all you need. And less tooling. Other than using, say, np that I mentioned before, that's it, really. npm install or yarn install, and you're good to go. But has downsides. If you do have many packages, and they may share dependencies, then you end up with duplicates in duplicate node module directories, which means your disk can be filled up very, very quickly. Yarn plug and play might help with this. I'm not 100% sure on the details there, but I think it's designed specifically to solve this problem of duplicate node modules. So we'll see how that goes. It's on by default in the latest version of Yarn, I believe. Yeah, we spoke about managing publishing is really tricky. The Git histories, whilst they are very clean on their individual packages, they're very disconnected across packages. So if I make a bunch of changes in a dependency and then need to update the parent package, I lose all of that Git history in the parent package's Git log, which can be kind of tricky when you're trying to Git bisect an issue. It's like, oh, I updated a package version, it was a patch. Okay, I'll move on. That obviously wasn't the change. Oh no, wait, it was the thing that broke everything. And then you have to go into that package and look at the history. It's a bit tricky. And then multiple PRs. If you're in a PR-centric world, which I was at Domain and am now on my current project, then you have to open multiple PRs, one per version bump. Again, for the Domain example, 50 PRs later, 50 approvals later, it's a very slow process. Monorepos, on the other hand, single code base, single PR. So if you update many packages at once, you bump all the versions, it's one code change. It's one Git commit, potentially. One PR for people to approve. It also provides a really great single integration test point. So if you are using a component library and building up a website, then you can put all your integration tests together that tests all of these interactions of all of the components, which is really valuable. And the single node modules, but again, this might be mitigated by Yarn plug and play. Has downsides, the repos get really big. If you've ever looked into the Babel repo, that's a big one. There's a lot of packages in there. Currently working on one with ThinkMill, and we've got like 40 plus packages in the repo. So it gets pretty big. We have a fairly clear mental model on how to navigate that and manage that. So it's not a big issue once you're on board, but that's my last point there is difficult onboarding. We have to have a lot of very clear documentation about where everything is and how to get started, and what tools to use. Speaking of tools, yeah, it takes more tooling. You need a tool to manage your mono repo, otherwise it does get out of hand very quickly. You lose a lot of the benefits. One strategy to reduce the tooling is to do a many in mono strategy, where you have one mono repo, but you treat each individual folder for a package as completely independent. You go in and manually run your code commit PR publish process for each folder, but still have it in one Git repo. The only difference is you just have to seed into that package. It works. It works. You get some of the benefits, but it drags along some of the cons with it. So there's better ways to do it. Yeah, less tooling, and then you get the other benefits from monorepo. Managing the publishing is still a pain though. It's still manually publishing each version. But there's tools help with this. The most popular of which is Learner. Who here has heard of Learner tool? Okay, about half, that's good. Yarn Workspaces, and more recently Bolt. Learner came about because of this pain point. There was, I believe it was Babel that Learner was born from, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a monorepo that needed tooling to help with this publishing workflow and managing the histories and all this kind of stuff, the change logs and that. So they built Learner. It was very specific to their use case, and a lot of people have adopted it and then found out that it is quite limited in terms of general use cases. So if they tried to step outside of the way that they were using, the original publishers were using the Learner tool, they hit a lot of edge cases. Things didn't work, or things didn't work as expected. Yarn workspaces was a way to provide some of the underlying infrastructure that Learner did without any of the prescriptive, you have to do things this way, or this publish command will execute exactly like this. In fact, Learner has since adopted Yarn workspaces for its underlying technology. And then Bolt recently came out. James Kyle, who we've been lucky enough to have here at React Sydney, he built another tool called Bolt after having worked on Learner, took all his learnings from Learner, and applied them to Bolt, which is a monorepo management tool that takes a lot of inspiration from the Yarn workspaces, and I believe also is informing the next version of Yarn workspaces. So there's a bit of interplay there. Bolt is slightly further ahead than Yarn workspaces at the moment, and it's the tool that I've been using. It has all those benefits that you get out of a monorepo, but still with some of the downsides. One of the things that is missing from here, is that onboarding is simplified. Bolt has a very simple CLI. It has very straightforward docs. They're not very long, very easy to read through it in one sitting. So the onboarding process of how do you manage this repo is greatly reduced compared to Learner, where there is very extensive docs for a lot of edge cases and a lot of things you can do. The same can be said of Yarn workspaces. It is fairly simple for onboarding. But there's still one big pain point, and that's managing the publishing of the dependencies. Thankfully, Ben Connolly, excellent, who is currently working at ThinkMill on an Atlassian project, has built an excellent tool called Build Releases under the Atlas Kit namespace. And Build Releases is a tool that's designed specifically to work with Bolt, and it provides this 3-step workflow for you where you create a change set, and a change set looks like, a change set is, the CLI prompts you for a couple of questions and it generates this JSON file for you where it says, okay, this package is going to be a major change, and then it automatically scans your monorepo for the dependents and finds that this package has been depending on analytics listeners and it now needs a patch button. So thanks to ChangeSet, it will generate this JSON file. You can then commit that and include it as part of your PR. So the process that I'm currently following is I run build releases ChangeSet, push it to PR, and we have a bot that checks to see if ChangeSet has been added. If not, it rejects the PR. Then post PR being merged into master, we run the version command, which will run through this JSON file and find all the versions that need to be bumped, update all the package JSONs in one go, and save it all as a single commit. So then you can push that to master and then run the publish command, and that will pretty much just do a publish of everything that changed. It won't republish already published versions. It does this by checking what's already published NPM or not. So it makes this workflow really, really simplified. So what we end up with is quite a nice, you can't see that. Okay, so run these commands, and then you end up with quite a nice pros and cons using Bolt plus build releases. And this is the tooling that I'm using for my project Cete at the moment. Single code base, single PRs, we can bump many packages in one go, and we often do. We find a bug somewhere deep down the hierarchy, we change the API, other packages need to be changed as well. Do it in single commit, single PR, it's great. Have all our integration tests next to all of this code. We can run one set of tests on CI and it checks that everything is still working in concert. Single node modules, although again, plug and play. Publish step is really easy, as you just saw, so the 3 steps that we're just looking at here. You create a change set, version your packages, and publish them. But it does have the two downsides now that you've got a huge repo and you have to know Bolt and build releases tool. But I think that's a welcome trade-off. My speed of development has been sped up greatly since I've adopted this workflow. Collaborating has been really easy with other teammates because they're able to jump in and change any package in the repo, and we know that they haven't accidentally introduced a bug or caused a regression somewhere else. We're able to figure that out long before it ever gets published or anything like that. So it's a really good process. That's the process I'm following. That's the summary of the Bolt and build releases tools. I'll pause if anyone wants to take a photo. I will upload these slides later and tweet about it. Another reason you should follow me on Twitter. And I mentioned that I'm doing this on a project called Cete. Check it out, cete.io. It's a platform to replace meetup.com for events just like this one. And that's me. Thank you. We do have time for one or two quick questions, if anybody has any. Please.
Your main reason for creating Cete and moving away from Meetup?
Main reason for creating Cete and moving away from Meetup, I love that it's not even related to the talk, is because Meetup does not provide the tooling that I need to run this event. Finding speakers, managing the call for papers, there is no tooling on Meetup to do that. Doing all that manually via emails, Twitter direct messages, that kind of stuff. I also want to take this in-person community that we have, that's amazing and strong, and get it online. We only meet once a month, but I know everybody here has great things to say, excellent questions to ask, and I want to be able to provide a space where everybody can do that. Whilst Meetup does have discussion boards, they're not great. They're also quite siloed. So I want to build a platform that enables that. Initially though, it's to solve my pain points as an organizer, and then eventually will be to continue growing communities. Any other questions about Cete or about Monorepos?
What are you doing for change logs and stuff like that?
What are we doing for change logs? So the build tool that build releases tool that I mentioned auto generates change logs for you. When you run, I'm not going to be able to find it, but it auto generates the changelog.md contents for you based on the questions it asks you when you run change set. So that's made one less step that we've had to worry about. There's also, I believe, a future plan to be able to automatically push that to GitHub releases as well, so then one less thing to worry about. Question at the back?
So you mentioned that you've got your changes JSON, and then you've got a secondary commit for actually versioning all the changes. And then, so your PRs first, and then that happen automatically later. Why not just do the versioning changes? Because that's what Learner does, right? So it does all the versioning changes first. You can push that as a PR, and then.
Yeah. So the question is, why is generating a change set and versioning two distinct steps? At first glance, it seems like it should be one, and it certainly could be one step. It has benefits because the first step of generating a change set allows you to create a whole series of change sets over a period of time, and then the versioning step will go in and find the greatest version jump that needs to happen based on all of those change sets. So for example, I might release a series of patch change sets in a series of PRs, and then a colleague might release a minor change set in one PR, and then when you run version, it will just bump the minor version one. It won't bother looking at all the patch change sets. It's able to coalesce all of that into one changelog update as well. So it's a way of reducing noise in the output. Great questions. Anyone else?
There's actually that.
Yeah, chat us more.
Yeah, I work really closely with the team that actually built this. So one of the other contexts behind why all these steps are separate is because you might want manual intervention at some point. So aside from the multiple PRs or a block of work that's being done, not over multiple PRs but over multiple commits that might ultimately end up as part of the same PR, you can end up on the other side of that wanting to explain what you've done and why. And we were previously using semantic release to manage releases, and it was all very tied into the Git history. That ended up being sort of extracted from that process and turned into something that a human could read and edit. Because as you'll notice, like a lot of these change log entries are not really that informative or useful. And although that's important, sometimes you have a major version bump and you want to explain like not just what the API difference was, but why you did it. So being able to kind of set all this stuff up and then preview the result and then go and just edit some markdown can be really helpful in making it easier for consumers to ultimately deal with whatever you're releasing. Because if you're dealing with, what, 250 packages? Like 350 packages? Like even just getting buy-in from developers that that's worth dealing with instead of whatever else they're trying to achieve this week can be challenging. So the more context you can give to that, the more scalable that becomes.
Yes, well done. All right, I think we're out of time. If you have any more questions, please come and grab myself or Jet. Ask us everything that we know about Monorepos.